This is The Art of Startup War, and I am your host, Brian McMahon. I am the sensei here at Expert Dojo, the fastest growing startup accelerator in Southern California. Now, in the first 2 seasons, we answered your questions about how to find investment for your business. We brought in the most accomplished investors in startup in America. You can find it on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Now, here in season 3, we're flipping the script. We're going to hear real stories from entrepreneurs who are in the trenches today. In these episodes, we're going to take our guests through the storytelling model called the entrepreneur's journey. We'll hear about what sparked their call to entrepreneurship, help they received along the way, forces they overcame, dark times and revelations. So join us every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Start the week a smarter entrepreneur. Okay, we're back. It's 10 o'clock. It's Tuesday morning. It's another brilliant podcast with another phenomenal entrepreneur. Today I'm talking with Hana from House of Hypatia. Now, this is particularly exciting because we're going to talk about the rise of an incredible cosmetics brand. And for all of you out there who are wondering, how do we create either a product or something strong in an industry where we have to physically make the product, you're going to learn so much today. Hana, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And we go back a long time, you and me.
Yes.
We do. Since the first time I saw you, I fell in love with your product, I fell in love with your brand, and I fell in love with everything that you are creating.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Beautiful.
You were a great support to me. When I met you, I was about to quit. I was that close to quit.
I want to talk about that. Firstly, let's talk about what you were trying to create. And this thing is going to flower for everybody, every entrepreneur who really want to see what the true journey is like to building an incredible product. You're in for a real treat today, because even the first time that I saw Hana here when she did her first pitch, immediately, I think there was 20 or 25 companies that came in and they all pitched. And there was a bunch of us judges there, and we unanimously agreed that Hana had the most incredible product that I wasn't the product. I'm going to save why we loved you so much at the beginning until after we talk a little bit about what it was and what it is that you're creating. So take us back right to the beginning, where before House of Hypatia was even House of Hypatia. What was that inkling in the back of your mind that said that there was something special that still needed to be done?
Well, the rise of consciousness and our need for going back to nature and the demand for natural and organic life, actually, when it comes to beauty products or food or everything we are dealing with. We messed up our life so bad. We
do. And why is it? Because it's true. Most beauty products would say 80 or 90% of them are full of toxins, and they're full of just all kinds of terrible things.
Yes.
They're either tested on stuff that they should not be tested on, or they're made with things that, why would anybody consciously put poison into their skin?
Yeah, I think we advanced in everything, technology, and part of advancing with for us to find other ways to do stuff. And we did that, and it didn't prove that it was the best choice. And now we are going back to where we're at and where we were before we went to the chemicals and the lab to substitute for nature.
It's beautiful, but you've taken it one step further. Mm-hmm. So I've had people who've come in before, not just in cosmetics, but other areas, where they've said, we want to make it natural, we want to make it clean, especially back in my times with the Green Festival. It seemed like everything was going to be a natural or clean or organic or a non-toxin product. What I loved about what you spoke about at the very beginning is that just because it's pure and it's clean and it's non-toxin, it doesn't mean that it can't be absolutely luxurious and beautiful.
Yes.
Which was a first for me, because everybody else kind of draws a picture of a green leaf around a plastic bottle. No disrespect, but everybody's trying to do the right thing. But that whole area of saying, I'm going to allow women to have what they want, which is the luxurious, beautiful, incredible feel with a product that makes them feel more special than anything else could, but without having to settle for something which is bad for their body.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things I was looking for in the market. I used to use good, luxurious old brands that we all fall in love with, like Louis Vuitton or Dior or the big brands that they have something. You have a feeling when you are using their products, or carrying their bags, or
Yeah.
there is some
Make you feel special, right?
it makes you feel special.
Yeah.
It makes you feel good. Luxurious, beautiful. Even the packaging is beautiful.
Yeah.
And when the switch happened to organic and natural, they forgot about this part, this aspect of the product, that it has to also look beautiful, not only have a beautiful product inside. So that was one of the things that I was missing. I wanted the balance from the beautiful old elegance, the old brands, and the new concept of natural. It doesn't have to look poor to be natural.
Yeah, I love that. And let's talk about the journey to get there, because people are listening to this thinking, oh, okay, well, that's got to be easy. And you could not be further away from the truth. I've watched this process right from the beginning. To do it badly is easy. You're absolutely right. Anyone can do it badly, but to do it in a beautiful way, that's 100% of what it should be, not 20 or 30%, is an incredibly difficult journey. So you set out on that journey. Let's talk about, firstly, some of the people who supported you and helped you, and what was it that maybe some of the areas that got you to the place that you were getting to?
Well, the recipe, the whole recipe came from my mom. When I was 16, I started to have
with the mom.
when I was 16, I started to have the breakout, and like any teen, and I tried almost everything in the market. Nothing worked. And she said, "You know what? We have this book. It's been for sixth generation in the family, and that always works with everything. So this is how I used to do it, and I think it's time for you to learn something."
Beautiful. So the product started with something real and something that had been proven.
Yeah.
And it was at the beginning, it was about just a breakout of spots, that acne and those types of things, that it could actually just settle that down.
Exactly, yeah. And actually, most of the chemicals in the products, in the cosmetics, usually they actually cause more of it. It doesn't actually treat it. So you have one day good, and the 3-4 days after, it's coming back.
The long-term effects are absolutely terrible.
So I started to, when I was reading the books, it was actually mind-blowing. The way it was done, it was really weird. Like the use of gemstones and all kind of essential oils and botanicals, and it's full of good stuff. And I was actually surprised. Oh my God, that's a whole lot of process. But I did it, and it worked, and I never had a problem ever after. And this is what I'm using since then.
Incredible. And then as you started to build the brand, we didn't start with the name of House of Hypatia, right?
Yes.
You built your way towards that name. Can you talk a little bit about that whole brand process? Because I believe the story behind the brand and what it represents, in some cases, is as important, if not more important, than the product itself.
Yes, the story behind it. Actually, I'll tell you a little bit of a story before the story. So I'll tell you the story about me starting a business in 2014.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something with my life, and I wanted to have a business, and I did that, and I started to sell actually solar bags and smartwatches and all of the gadgets, and I was actually doing great. For 2 years I was running a business. The business was very successful, not a big business, but enough to keep me living really well.
Yep.
And after that, in 2016, I decided to start a bike business, expanded to bike, challenged myself even further.
Yep.
So I started the bike business, and it was challenging, and kind of unfortunate stuff happened. So I kind of lost all the inventory in Amazon. I was a seller on Amazon. I lost the inventory with Amazon, and I found myself broke again and had nothing to do. And I was, for a long time, thinking about actually selling the beauty products that I know that there is nothing in the market like that. Yeah. So it was in my mind for a long time.
And I also want to clarify as well, because I know this story. And I won't go into the details of the story, but what I will say is when we have products, whether we're reselling products or working with other products, we are reliant on a number of people in that chain.
Absolutely.
And sometimes those people are the suppliers of the products. Sometimes those people are the logistics agents. So like the people like the Amazons who are out there. And just because we do a fantastic job in every area that we're supposed to do, all it takes is one other part of that logistics chain to let everybody else down, and it affects the whole chain. So be careful. Even if your logistics partners are the biggest people in the world, be careful about what you're actually committing to and what's going to happen. And that was my first lesson, right? And it's not, I don't think there's anything that you could have done because it still would have happened in the way that it happened, but it's just worth people being aware of. Now, the second area, which I adore, is the fact that up until that time, you had been working within products which you just felt would be successful. They were trendy, they were cool, they were in the market, they were successful. And then this took you on a beautiful natural path back to the product that you absolutely adored, which is how can we remove toxins, remove waste, remove really bad stuff out of the cosmetics industry, and how can we make it so beautiful that any woman or man, but I think mainly women, but we'll say women and men, that they'll walk down the street carrying a bag of House of Hypatia and feeling special and beautiful and luxurious.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now we come to the next part of the story.
Yes, the next part of the story, starting to sell, and told a little bit of my story. And it was a phenomenon. It was unbelievable success. At the beginning, I couldn't believe what happened. Like, people were crazy about it. And that proves something. It proved to me that actually, first of all, the product is amazing. And second, I know that this is the right time for this kind of products to be available for everyone.
But how did you do this? Like, you put a product up on Amazon and suddenly you're selling up to $5,000 worth of cosmetics in a day?
Yes.
And I know Amazon, and I know how the algorithms work, and I know that generally speaking, as you're on there for the first decade and second decade and third decade, you sell more because you get more reviews, more people like you, and then you get more inherent AI trust built into the platform. But you were selling up to $5,000 a day almost immediately.
Yes, it took me about 3 months to reach to this point, to the $5,000.
Yeah.
But from day one, I was making money, and making money, and I have absolute control over it.
Insane.
It was amazing, and at the beginning, I was counting on the reviews and ads. A little bit of ads, a little bit of reviews. Reviews were amazing. Reviews brought more people in, and more people in, and more people in. By the third month, I was making $5,000 a day.
Unbelievable. So, without a great brand, to be fair, right?
Yes, there was no brand. I was banking on Amazon brand.
Yeah, you just picked like a random name and had some random colors, and you just had phenomenal products.
Yes.
Which is incredible. And then, so you're selling up to $5,000 a day, and then what happened?
And then I started a factory, and I hired people, and I did what I had to do. First of all, I had no experience doing any of that.
Yeah.
Nothing. I was in my kitchen and moved from my kitchen to a warehouse. I had to train people. I didn't know anything. I was doing almost all of it by hand, myself, every single day, and they were helpers basically. And I was required to produce 250 products a day. And that was the sales.
So you're like a swan. On top of the water, it looks graceful and beautiful, and underneath you're just kicking like crazy.
I was dying. I was literally dying.
But this is what you have to do, right? You start off a company, this is what you have to do. And again, I love this podcast because the podcast is supposed to be about investment. But up until this time, everything was about market validation, and getting customers to love you because the investment is always going to come if you can build that.
Absolutely.
But you have to work 20 hours a day to make it happen.
24 hours a day. I barely slept for a long time. And I was happy to do so. Like I had no complaints. The complaints was I don't know what to do. Not that I can't sleep. I really didn't know I had no idea what to do. It was too big, too sudden. So I was not prepared for all of this. So of course I failed to fulfill all the orders. I had a lot of complaints. Amazon closed the account, and the business was gone.
No, and that's something we never speak about, because in early stage entrepreneurship, it's very seldom that success is the biggest challenge that we face, especially immediate success.
Absolutely.
How do I deal with that? How do I build a logistics chain and to have everything in place? So, but it's great because at least now you know you have a great product.
Absolutely. I have a great product.
Customers love your product.
Absolutely. And I know how to take it from step 1 to step 10
Exactly.
in 3 months.
And also now you know what's going to happen
Yes.
when it gets to step 10
Yes.
and what you have to prepare to go onwards.
Absolutely.
So I would say that must have been the lowest point, right?
It was.
Because you built this great product. You've taken it all the way. You're working 20 hours a day. You're physically exhausted. You know everybody wants it. You just can't put the logistics in place because you don't have the investment to get it right. So from that moment, I mean, firstly, I don't want to ask you how that felt, because we all have been at that place at one stage in our lives. I mean, it's pretty hard. For me, the more interesting question is always like, how do you get back up from there?
It took me a while, denial that didn't happen. And of course, devastation. I tried to stand up back. As you said, I didn't build a brand. And this is, I think, one of the biggest lessons. Actually, it's more important than the failure itself, is the importance of a brand that to attract people from the outside, from the inside. You know, there are so many aspects to the brand other than a product. I was counting on a great product, and I didn't understand the value of branding or the psychology behind branding. So when I was counting on Amazon to sell my products, when Amazon closed down, I couldn't stand up alone because I did not build a brand to attract people. So that was the biggest lesson I have learned from this experience.
Wow.
And that what got me here to you, because at this point I thought, okay, well, the failure had so many aspects to it, but the one thing I can actually improve is branding, and I didn't have experience with that. And when I came to you, that was the door opening again for me. Yeah. That when I saw you and actually talked to you for the first time, I said, it's happening again. It will happen like never before. Now I have the missing part that I needed. So, and you helped building the brand.
No, it was beautiful. And I've never seen anybody more obsessive about getting the brand perfect. Brand is everything.
It's everything.
It's everything. It's like, I get more geeky about this all of the time. I think about our personal brand and business brand, the same thing. Like, the way people think of us is important. It's important for how we go on in life. And working towards that, whether it's the clothes we wear, or whether it's cleaning our teeth, or washing our hair, or making sure we're seen in a certain way, or making sure we're not abusive to people or mean to people, all of that is about obsessively building up a personal brand. And for the business brand, I saw you obsessively build the business brand from a way I've never seen anything before. And if anything, I would love to think that, we helped in our own small way. But actually, if anything, you pushed back on going back to market too quickly. Like, I wanted to lift you up and to get you to fly straight away and say, hey, it's okay, don't worry, your wing's fine, you've got a great product, fly again. And you said, no, I'm only going to fly again when I have the most incredibly beautiful brand, which is at 100%. And I mean, a lot of the time, look, I feel good about stuff I've done, but even with you, I would say, oh, it's okay, we're 80%. You'd say, no, we're not 100%. I'd say, oh, we're 85%. You'd be like, no, we're not 100%. And then about, 4 weeks ago, you hit 100%. And it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
Yes, it's the branding. Brand is everything. I have emotional connection with brands. You have Apple. We all have. Whether we are consciously aware of it or not, but we have emotional connection with every brand we use. And this emotional connection, I think, is one of the most important thing. And it doesn't come from just a product. You may hate Apple phone, but you still love Apple.
I do hate the Apple phone.
We all do.
And I do love Apple.
And we do love Apple. So it's not...
I hate that I love Apple when I hate their phone.
Yes. And this
I pay I pay $800. You've got me. I got pay $800 for these stupid things every year when I used to pay $50 for a BlackBerry phone.
Yes.
But I love Apple.
You love it. You love it. We all love it. That's a brand.
Yes.
That's branding. So that's my goal.
How did you do it? Tell me how you did it. So tell me the process you went through. And because I really want everybody listening here today to understand what it takes to build a phenomenal brand. And all of you will be able to see this on House of Hypatia. And fast forward 4 years in the future, you watch where House of Hypatia are as a brand of the most beautiful, luxurious, clean, toxin-free, friendly products towards women that have ever existed on this planet. But I want you to tell us about that journey. Like, how did you build it? And maybe speak a little bit about Hypatia, House of Hypatia, how it all came together.
At the beginning, actually, I was looking at everything. I was looking at what are the aspects of the success I see with some brands, and it all add up to the identity, the what they stand for, what the brand stand for, and what the brand represent. And one of the things that was actually, I started to have it all when I decided to name it House of Hypatia. Hypatia.
That was all you.
That yeah, I was. It's like something magical happened, and I just came up with the name, and I actually found it in a weird way. I wasn't even aware of Hypatia before, and she turned out to be from Egypt and Alexandria,
which is where you're from,
where I am from, and
which is making it more authentic now, because it's about an authentic brand from an authentic recipe, which goes back generations and generations and generations in Egypt. Hypatia, of course, is. Sorry, keep going. I want to make sure I just tie the audience in.
Just complete the story. So the story is complete. Like it for me, the name was the beautiful cherry on top of everything. Like that was the thing that I needed, and the reason I need it, and the reason I felt this connection with her, is because of her, who she was and what I stand for and what I wanted to represent in this brand. It's not only a product. We're not only selling a product. What our message? What are we saying to people about us and about women, about beauty, about everything? So she inspired me with all of that.
What does she stand for?
She is a philosopher, and she's an astronomer and mathematician.
At a time when really women were not astronomers or philosophers, right?
In the 3rd century.
Yeah.
And we barely remember those people, especially women. There are, along the history, there are so many women that are fantastic, but we tend to forget them. But she inspired me. She is the brain and the beauty. She was called the spirit of Plato and the body of Aphrodite.
Wow.
Yeah, the beauty and the brain, and that's what I want to see. This is our mission. That felt so right. I want women to feel beautiful from the outside and beautiful from the inside.
And also the intelligence ties into it.
Absolutely. Mind, body, and spirit. It's a whole complete picture. It's not something from the outside. If you don't feel beauty from the inside, if you don't feel confident, if you don't feel intelligent, the outside is reflecting the same thing. So it was the good thing at the end.
And you got it. And again, all of you will see the visuals that have been created. But once you have the idea with the vision, the visuals actually become relatively easy. I mean, you did some beautiful things, such as making the top of it about like an old Egyptian coin, and then the bottles and the being beautiful glass, which ties everything together, and the look and the feel of the packaging, like something that comes directly out of Dior. And I think you pulled that whole brand so gorgeously together. For me, it didn't take me more than a second to realize that we were going to invest in you. And I think it's the best and easiest investment decision we've ever made. I have no doubt, we're going to talk about investment going forward, but I have no doubt that this will turn into something phenomenal within the next, not a doubt in my mind, nor did I have a doubt in my mind from the first check that we gave you when you came in. And if I rewind it back to what I said at the start, which is why the second you pitched, all of us chose you, was because most other people go directly for I'm building a brand, or I'm building a product, or I'm going to do these things, and I'm going to think. The fact that you could go almost in the first sentence, I've already launched this. I made up to $5,000 a day with a brilliant product. And all I need is a great partner that's going to help me build a phenomenal brand around it and allow me to build the logistics into it. It said 3 or 4 things, which I think are really important for startups anywhere. Number one, it said that your focus is on driving revenue and that you know that this is about a revenue generation product. And not only were you focused on it, but you were doing it. Number 2, it showed that you knew exactly where you needed the partners. And number 3, it showed that the brand to you is going to be everything about how you built it. And everything you've done from that moment to today has absolutely translated into that. So it's huge. Now, as we've come through this journey, which has brought us from the idea and the retractors and the mentors and the people who've helped down through the areas which have been those toughest moments that you've had to fight through, we now come up to the other side where we have a beautiful brand, a phenomenal product and products, right? Because we got a bunch of products that are going to be there, which are going to be hitting the market in early 2019, and we're going to revolutionize the world.
We are.
One beautiful person at a time.
Yes.
Tell me what that journey looks like, and speak a little bit about the investors, because now you've started speaking to other investors for the first time. Maybe talk a little bit about that journey.
About the nightmare.
Yeah.
All right.
And
do you play Minecraft?
It's a different...
Do you play Minecraft? There are 2 modes in Minecraft, creative mode and survival mode.
Yeah.
When I was creating the brand and coming to you and discussing, that was my creative mode. It was heaven.
Yeah.
And now I had to move to the survival mode.
Yeah.
Well, I have to fight every day. Yeah, this is a different world. It's kind of challenging a little bit. However, actually, I can't complain. Like I really can't complain. I had 3 out of 10 investors who wanted to invest with
Straight
me.
away.
So I can't complain.
You know what I think it's
I
like
didn't
too?
suffer.
We've done this slightly differently than normal, right? Normally because we have such wide access to investors, so normally we just throw a pitch out there, you pitch to lots of people. This time we've done it slowly, right? So we did 8 investors one week and then 8 investors the next week. So a couple of things. Number one, of the 8 investors each, we've only done this for 3 weeks, but of the 8 investors that we sent out each week, the vast majority want to see the product and want to meet with you. But secondly, and it's been really interesting for me to watch, especially by doing it slowly, week by week. It's almost like you have a different private teacher every week, because it's not that they're right or wrong, but they have a different perspective on things. So one will really focus on the area of maybe Amazon before, and the other one will really focus on the logistics that are set in place for going forward. And each time, it's so fascinating, because every time you and I speak afterwards, you say, yeah, this is what I've learned from this investor. It was a great thing that I learned. This is what I've done. I'm going to implement it immediately. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Absolutely. Every meeting I had, I came home with a new perspective. I meet the investor and I want to know from their perspective how they see, because I was focused on building a brand for the customers. I don't know what actually investors are looking for. So from the first meeting, I came home. Oh, well, yeah, he has tried to say that and that he had comments on that, and that was a feedback, and working on it, ready to conquer for the next one, and the next one,
different feedback.
Different one, totally different world, but still, added another aspect,
because they're different people. Like so the first one, we won't go into names, but the first one is very ADD, right? They're very specific on little areas,
little details.
And you feel like saying, "Can you stop already? Can we talk about something else?"
Yeah.
But no, because he's focused there. And then another one that you would see would be unbelievably focused on projections, and they can't get past a certain area of the projections, don't show a certain thing, no matter what you say. And again, what I love about you is every investor you see, you don't question that or get openly frustrated about it. You say, hey, you know what? Now I'm going to work on building these areas in the projections here. That investor was right. And then the next investor on something else, now I'm going to do here. And what happens is, layer by layer, you're getting the greatest mentors in the world who are advising you on how you create the best possible business to be successful.
For free.
for free.
Yeah, so it is a great experience. Every investor meeting is actually a great except one.
One was a toughie.
When you don't listen to someone and you assume, okay, you're gonna fail. Okay, well, all right, I don't need to say a single word more because you assumed I'm gonna fail without listening.
But I also think that's useful too.
It's
useful too because
it was annoying.
It's useful in a different way. Because I want to put that one in my back pocket and I want to save it. And I want to save it for about 3 years' time.
Yeah.
And then I want to write a beautifully written
3 years? Are you kidding?
No, I want to have a beautifully
2 months
card.
from now, I will do
listen,
it.
Mine is better. This is where Irish revenge is so much better than Egyptian revenge because it's best served cold, right? So I'm saying you write the letter now, you put it into a card, and that card says, when we spoke 3 years ago, you did not believe that I was going to be able to build the brand I have. Today, at a valuation of $500 million, I have not only built this, but all of my investors have received a return on their investment of 20 to 1. Yours forever, Hana, right? And then you take that card and then you put it in a drawer and you save it. For a year, 2 years, 3 years, however long it's going to take. Not a long time. We all know that. And then you send it. And that gives you that time when you get to 11 o'clock at night and you're exhausted and you're tired and you think you can't go any further. And you just take that card out and you look at it and you say, I can do another half an hour.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely. Yeah. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Makes you stronger.
And I absolutely believe in that. And even with my failure last time with my business, the 2 failure, it's not one of them was out of my hand. The second one was kind of in my hand, but
I don't count the second one actually because the second one is merely just the first chapter of the book, right? So the first chapter of a new book. The other one, like bicycles, electric bicycles, give me a break.
Too heavy, yeah.
Yeah, but we're talking about like the first chapter of the book. The first chapter of the book said the ingredients in the product is beautiful and it's perfect. Now I need to prepare for the second chapter. The second chapter says the ingredients in the product are absolutely perfect. Now we also have a brand which is absolutely perfect, and now we have a go-to market strategy which is absolutely perfect.
Absolutely.
And that's the position that we're in right now. So look, there are people listening to this podcast who are startups, and I hope you're absolutely inspired by this story. There are people listening to this podcast who are investors, who are looking for the next great investment. I absolutely implore you to check up with Hana. She's going to give you her details in a second, and really check out House of Hypatia and what's being built in the future. And then there are those of you who are interested in making sure that great startups who deserve to succeed. You might be marketing people or legal people or anything else. And for all you people, you can again reach out to Hana, and any help is appreciated at this stage of the journey. So can we finish up with a couple of things?
Yeah.
Knowing that we have a brilliant product which is breaking through and is, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Actually, no. Before we get there, what sales are we going to do in March next year?
Sales in March 2019?
Yeah. Revenue in March 2019.
$180, $180,000.
$180,000. Without that, this is before the company has launched its first product yet in the second chapter. $180,000. And you can't see Hana right now, but there is not a shadow of doubt in her eyes that she is going to do those numbers.
Yeah, that's that's one of the challenges I see with the investors, that sometimes you have a vision and you don't only have, it's not that I'm dreaming. I'm sitting at home and I dreamt of an idea and I'm going to ask for money for it. I've done it before and I know exactly how it was done and and what I did wrong and how I'm gonna improve in that. So it's kind of I know what I did, and I'm just doing it again. I'm doing it again in a better way, in a more sustainable way, and building a brand literally for 100 years to stand strong for 100 years from now. I did it. I got the quick money and I did everything the traditional way. And now I want to do it big, and I see it. I know it. I have done it. So and some investors they don't see that. They don't see the same future you're talking about. They don't see the same reality you're living, and that's when the disconnection happens with the investors.
I see.
Sometimes they have no idea what you're talking about.
I see it. I believe. And I want to leave the podcast there. There's no better place to leave the podcast. Everybody knows what the prediction is. Everybody hears me say efficiently on the podcast, I absolutely 100% believe that Hana will be able to make these numbers. Can you give everybody your details so they know how to reach out to you?
Sure. Hana Hakam at LinkedIn.
So, why don't we do House of Hypatia? Why don't we do House of Hypatia? So just your email address at House of Hypatia.
Yeah, Hana at houseofhypatia.com.
You better spell that for people.
HANA at houseofhypatia.com.
And Hypatia?
Hypatia is HYPATIA.
Beautiful. Okay, wonderful. And of course, anybody ever have any questions or anything you want to check, you can always catch me here over at Expert Dojo, at Brian at Expert Dojo. Hana, it's been a pleasure the last couple of months. It's going to be a real pleasure while we all get rich, while the world are more beautiful, and making sure that their skin feels a hell of a lot better for it. And I'm looking forward to it all.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. If you love the podcast, please empower your circle by sharing these stories. The Art of Startup War is brought to you by Expert Dojo. And remember, we invest in startups, $50,000 checks. Make sure you apply on our site if you are one of those great entrepreneurs looking to bring your company to the next level. As far as the Art of Startup War is concerned, we are back every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. So remember, check out the new episodes. If you want to find out what the investors think, check out season 1 or 2. But make sure you join us every single week.